Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Always exciting to get to dive into some new material.
Absolutely. And today we're gonna be looking into someone I think a lot of people might not have heard of.
Definitely a hidden figure.
Hmm. Yeah. So today's deep dive is all about Henrietta Howard.
And what a story.
Yeah. You know what? When I was reading this biography you gave me,
Such a wild ride, isn't it?
I was thinking like, this is amazing.
A real page turner.
Yeah, it is. It's like almost like a historical thriller, you know?
You can really get swept up in it.
You can, and like right from the beginning,
I mean, starting with that marriage.
oh my
It's
gosh.
just brutal
Yeah, I mean, just imagine being 16 years old.
in that situation.
Yeah, and having to marry this man who's 14 years older than you just to save your family from financial ruin.
And it's not like he was a prize either.
No, not at all. I mean, you sent me some descriptions of him from various sources.
He did not come across well, did he?
No, they all described him as like wrong-headed,
Yeah.
ill-tempered, obstinate, even
There was that one that said brutal.
brutal. Oh, yeah, and this is Charles Howard, by the way.
Her husband?
Right. Her husband.
Military man, at least on paper.
Yeah, a military officer, but I mean,
Not a very good one, it seems.
no, it doesn't seem like it. So she's stuck in this horrible marriage, seemingly no way out. Like,
And this is where I think her brilliance starts to show
Yeah.
because she doesn't just give up.
right.
She's looking for a way out. She's thinking, what can I do?
And it's amazing that she finds an opportunity in this, like, really unlikely place.
With all the political upheaval,
So the Act of Settlement of 1701,
sets the stage.
right, sets the stage for the Hanoverian line to inherit the throne.
And Henrietta sees this as her chance.
She does. She's like, all right, I gotta make a move here.
The gamble for sure.
Yeah, total gamble, because she decides to take her, absolutely unsuitable husband to Hanover.
Well, what else was she going to do?
Right, like,
A woman couldn't travel on her own back then?
right, exactly. So she's like,
Yeah.
okay, gotta bring Charles along.
Gotta make the best of a bad situation.
And it's incredible that it actually worked.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, she
Right.
charmed the court with her, wit and her intelligence.
She had that in spades.
Yeah, and even Charles managed to get himself into some good graces somehow.
It just goes to show sometimes the most ridiculous plans.
Work out.
Yeah, you just never know.
You never know. So Queen Anne dies, and guess what?
Both Henrietta and Charles
Get positions.
in the new court.
Yes, in the new Hanoverian court.
Talk about a turnaround.
Amazing. So it seems like, okay, things are looking up for Henrietta,
Maybe she's free of Charles at last.
but 18th century court life.
Not exactly a walk in the park.
No, not at all. Like that's a whole other
It's a viper's nest.
a whole other set of challenges, right?
Totally. And so how does she handle this new environment?
Yeah. How does she thrive in this world of like power plays and alliances and just constant maneuvering?
I mean, this is where her genius really comes out.
Right.
Because she gets it. She understands the rules of the game, and she's good at playing it.
Her first move
Becomes a woman of the bedchamber.
to Princess Caroline.
Now, that might not sound.
Yeah, I was going to say, for our listeners who aren't familiar with 18th century court positions, like, what is that?
Right. So the woman of the bedchamber, it's not just like helping the princess get dressed,
Right. It's not just like a servant.
No. It's a position of like trust.
Intimacy.
Yeah. You're always near the center of power.
So it's a chance to observe,
To learn the ropes.
make connections,
Exactly.
and she's great at it,
Oh, she thrives. She gains Caroline's trust quickly and respect.
which puts her in a really good position to start advancing
Yeah, sure.
her own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room,
The Prince of Wales.
the affair with George II.
Future George II, that is.
Yeah, the future king, right?
This is not exactly a romance for the ages.
I mean, from everything I've read, he was,
kind of a dud.
yeah, not known for his looks or his charm.
He had his moments, but
And even described as prone to rages.
yeah, so what did she see in him, right?
Exactly. What was the appeal?
Well, you have to remember she was still in this awful marriage
Right.
and an affair with the future king.
Regardless of his personality.
Yeah, it's a way out.
It's a strategic alliance.
Exactly. It's a chance to get some security, some independence, and maybe even,
A little bit of revenge
well, yeah, against Charles.
against Charles, right?
Why not?
So it works, at least in the beginning.
George is smitten.
He showers her with gifts,
Included
funds to build her own estate,
Marble Hill.
Marble Hill, which was more than just a house.
Oh, yeah, it's a symbol.
It's a symbol of her freedom
We're independent.
that she fought so hard for.
Imagine Charles's face when he finds out about this. His wife.
The wife he's treated so terribly.
Building her own palace?
Yeah.
Bankrolled by the future king?
Oh, man.
Adding insult to injury.
Talk about adding insult to injury. So he was not happy, I imagine.
Oh, he was furious.
So what did he do?
He tries everything he can to stop her.
Oh, no.
Blackmail her.
Tries to take her fortune.
Seize her assets.
And even tries to kidnap her.
Tries to abduct her from the palace.
It's like something straight out of a movie.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So
she's got to deal with this.
she's got to figure out how to escape his clutches
All while navigating the court
while maintaining her position.
as the king's favorite.
Right. She has to keep the king happy.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a testament to her strength that she manages it all.
It really is. I mean, she doesn't just survive.
She thrives.
She thrives, yeah.
But her story's not just about politics and palace intrigue.
Right. There's a whole other layer to it.
She was also a woman of great intellect.
And she had a fascinating friendship with...
A literary giant, in fact.
Um,
Jonathan Swift.
Now, that is a story for next time.
We'll dive into that one next time. It's easy to get lost, in all the drama and the politics of Henrietta's life.
Oh, for sure.
But she wasn't just some conniving courtier. She genuinely appreciated art and literature and all that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have to admit, when I think of 18th century court life...
It's all backstabbing and gossip.
Exactly. It doesn't exactly scream like intellectual haven.
Well, you might be surprised, Henrietta's salon at Leicester House.
Oh, yeah. I read about that.
It was a hub for some of the brightest minds of the day.
Really?
Writers, artists, philosophers, they all flocked there.
Wow.
And it was in that setting, amidst all the political maneuvering, that she struck up a friendship with Jonathan Swift.
Wait, Jonathan Swift?
The one and only?
Like the Gulliver's Travels? Jonathan Swift?
That's the one.
I never would have pictured them as friends.
Seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But they first met back in 1726 when Swift started attending her salons.
Huh. So they just hit it off.
They did. They had a similar sense of humor, a love of literature.
And maybe a little bit of mischief.
Oh, I'm sure there was plenty of that.
I mean, can you imagine those two trading barbs and witty remarks?
I bet their conversations were legendary.
The king's mistress and this sharp-tongued satirist.
What a pair.
What a pair. But we're talking about the 18th century.
Or everything's political.
Right.
Yeah.
So was their friendship truly just personal, or was there some game playing going on?
Well, when George II finally took the throne, Swift saw an opportunity.
Oh, here we go.
He wanted Henrietta to help him secure a plum position.
Which was?
Chancellor of Dublin University.
Ooh, fancy.
Right. And a nice gig for his friend John Gay, the playwright, too.
So he was hoping to leverage their connection.
Of course, who wouldn't? But don't forget about Queen Caroline.
Oh, yeah, she was still a force to be reckoned with.
And not too keen on Henrietta's influence.
So she probably wasn't thrilled about Swift's ambitions.
She blocked his requests, basically.
Oh, that must have stung.
I bet Swift was not happy.
He had a reputation for holding grudges, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he did not take this well at all.
So the friendship imploded.
Pretty much he felt betrayed by Henrietta.
Accused her of being a heartless courtier.
All about power, no loyalty. It got ugly. He wrote nasty letters about her, even published a poem denouncing her.
Wow, talk about a public falling out.
It was brutal, and it really shows you how fragile relationships were in that environment.
One wrong move, one perceived betrayal, and it's all over.
Just like that.
So here's Henrietta at the supposed peak of her success, right?
King's mistress, a countess in her own right.
But was she really happy?
That's the question, isn't it?
I mean, she had escaped that awful marriage. She had power influence.
But she was still stuck in this system that could be so suffocating.
With all the pressure, the maneuvering, the constant threat of losing everything.
Exactly, it takes a toll.
So it's like even the most glamorous positions can have a dark side.
Absolutely. And for Henrietta, those downsides were starting to outweigh the benefits.
She was craving something more.
Genuine connection, freedom from all the games, a life where she could just be herself.
So did she just resign herself to her fate, or did she try to change things like she always had?
That's what we're going to find out. But before we get there, let's rewind a bit and talk about Charles again.
Oh, right, her husband.
Can't forget about him. He's still a threat lurking in the shadows.
So we left off with Henrietta longing for something more than court life, but still having to contend with Charles.
Yeah, she was trapped between a rock and a hard place,
For sure. So how does she navigate this, final step?
Well, she starts by kind of testing the waters.
Okay.
In the summer of 1734, she takes a trip to Bath.
Ah.
for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's quite a while.
It was a fashionable spa town back then.
Yeah.
So she goes there for a bit of a retreat, but also
A strategic retreat.
exactly to see how the king reacts.
I mean, a royal mistress taking a 6-week vacation.
Bold move.
That's a pretty big statement.
It was a risk, but Henrietta was always good at those subtle signals.
So she's seeing if he'll miss her.
If he's maybe ready to move on too.
And what happens?
Well, George, he was never one to hide his feelings. He's cold, he's distant, avoids her completely during his birthday celebrations, which happened to fall while she was away.
Ouch, that's a public snub.
Yeah, it seems like her plan's backfiring,
Right.
but not so fast.
Okay.
Henrietta, she sees this as an opportunity.
Really?
She's going to use his displeasure to her advantage.
How does she do that?
She goes to Queen Caroline and offers her resignation.
Smart.
Frames it as, the king's clearly not happy with me anymore.
So it's like I have no choice but to leave.
Exactly. Very clever.
Right.
But Caroline, she's hesitant.
I bet she didn't want to lose Henrietta.
She was valuable, she kept the king in check.
Kept things running smoothly.
And let's be honest, Caroline didn't want the scandal of a disgruntled ex-mistress.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So she tries to persuade Henrietta to stay.
I read that she even, threatened her a little.
She did. She said, your friends, they'll abandon you once you're not connected to the king anymore.
Wow. But Henrietta was determined.
Oh, yeah, she'd had a taste of freedom in Bath.
She wasn't going back.
Nope.
Yeah.
So Caroline being the pragmatist, she was.
She comes up with a compromise.
Right. Henrietta can resign, but only after taking a week to think it over.
Okay.
So during that week, Henrietta tries to win George back.
Oh.
But he's stubborn. He refuses to see her.
I wonder if he was relieved to be rid of her.
Maybe all those years, it was just routine.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason, he made it clear he was done.
And Henrietta, she takes the opportunity.
Resigns her position on November 22nd, 1734.
What a moment.
After all those years of playing the game,
She walks away.
on her own terms,
And straight into freedom.
she moves to Marble Hill, permanently surrounded by her true friends.
Away from the court and all its drama.
Exactly.
What about George Berkeley?
Oh, they finally got their happy ending.
Oh.
They married the following year.
Quiet ceremony.
Yeah, just a small affair.
And they lived happily ever after at Marble Hill.
Pretty much, it's a far cry from that young girl forced into a horrible marriage, facing financial ruin.
It really is. It's a remarkable story.
Resilience, adaptation, strategic brilliance. She had it all.
And she never gave up on herself.
It's inspiring.
It's a reminder that we all have choices to make.
Yeah.
Even when things seem impossible.
There's always a path forward.
There is, and maybe there's a bit of Henrietta in all of us.
That inner strength.
That drive to create a life we want.
No matter the obstacles. Well said.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the life of Henrietta Howard,
What a journey.
a woman who defied expectations,
Played the game and won.
found her own version of freedom and happiness.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Until next time.